Everybody, I hope you're all having a great day so far. Mine's been kind of a mixed bag, but my poor little dog has had an upset stomach. I think she's gonna be fine, but not fun to see her not feeling well. But besides that, today's been pretty good. Got some work done. In fact, let's hop over to Tactical Lizard Tamer. Today we're going to be doing more programming work to get the Lua scripts to be able to play animations. And yesterday I was completely stumped trying to figure out how to implement this function. We're basically given one position and a target. We want to find the facing for a character standing on this position to face towards the target. And it turned out not to be that difficult, but for some reason I spent way too long on it last night. But how I ended up figuring it out is I was trying to do things looking at the rows and columns of the hexagon, and that was just the wrong approach, as I found out. So instead, you convert both of the hexagons to like their position in XY space, so that's Cartesian coordinates, fancy word. And then you just find the angle between them using mathf. Oh, you take the difference, and then you basically take the arc tangent, which that's what this atan2 is, except Unity provides a helpful version of it so that you don't have to try and figure out which quadrant the angle is in, or make sure that it doesn't divide by 0 and all that. So that's what we're using. And then I have to negate the arc tangent because Unity rotates clockwise and arctangent rotates counterclockwise. So we'll negate it to get it into our coordinate system. And then so from there we have an angle, and then I need to convert that to this neighbor enumeration. And so first I add 360 because, again, we're going to need to do a modulo, and as I've said before, modulos don't behave well with negative numbers, so I add 360 just to make sure it's always positive. And then I add 60 because northeast is supposed to be element 0, and that is actually at negative 60 degrees because 0 is facing due east. So I add 60 just to rotate that angle to be our starting position, and then you just divide by 60 and round that number to figure out again which, well, you just have to round that number to try and, like, because if the hexagons aren't in a straight line, like on a single axis, then you'd want to get the one that's closest to. And then we just do mod 6 to wrap around when we add 360 to make sure it stays in the range of 0 and 2, 6. So I hope this kind of makes sense. I guess what I had to do was just take a little break. I did, and I came back to it about an hour or so later, and it didn't take me too long to figure this out. So I guess let that be a lesson to you. If you're stuck on something, a lot of times it's good just to take a break and then try to come back to it with a different point of view. So yeah, that hex position, but now in this facing utils class, I need to actually implement the rest of this function, which is what Lua actually calls. Okay, so here it's just checking if the row and the column, I'll do this a different way, if target equals at, instead of, we won't need to use this difference at all. But I guess I should make sure, do I actually implement an equals function here? Okay, I do. Now that I think about it, I should implement equals here and the facing, because that seems like something that could happen. Override equals. other equals object as facing. Then if other is null, then we return false. Otherwise, we return other dot value equals value. Okay, now it's going to ask me to implement, or it's going to offer to implement a get hash code. And it also implements iEquatable, which is kind of nice. Guess I'll do it this way. Otherwise, we'll return equals, and it will call this version. Alright, so down here, I guess I should actually call the equals function there. I remember before I tried overriding operations in these Lua exposed classes, but Moonsharp for some reason really didn't like that, so I'm just going to use this equals function instead of using the operator. Alright, so I think now all I have to do is return registry get facing and then hex position facing towards neighbor. Alright, and then I have to actually pass the hex position here instead of the board position, which the board position is the Lua object and the hex position is the C# object. And really the only difference is that, of course, all the indexes start at 1 in the board position. Okay, so that's pretty simple. I think I'll also pass I'll have a towards angle because I have a feeling that we'll need this as well. And this will be pretty simple. All I have to do is just call facing towards angle. And I think we're good to go. So here in the Lua script, well, right now we do it kind of simply. We just rotate towards, well, we'll see how it looks, but right now we just rotate towards the closest fit to a neighbor. But if, for example, we jump and it's not a straight line, then we actually won't face in the direction we're going to jump. We'll face slightly to the side. So like in the case we jump, we'd actually need to do 2 rotates. First we rotate in the jump direction, and then when we land we rotate towards our actual facing direction. Trying to decide, is it worth it to do that right now? So here, let's go ahead and also have float angle. And I think we just return hex position, get neighbor angle. Okay, so that should work fine. So we'll have the final facing, but then we'll also have like a specific angle. towards angle, start, target. And so really, we don't need to worry about this part for now. Instead of just passing new facing, we would just pass the jump facing. And then down here at jump, after waiting, we would need to rotate again down here. Okay, so let's see. If jump facing not equal new facing. I think I want to change this to final facing. It makes a little more sense. What is going on? Okay, that's one of the first times I've ever used that function in Microsoft Code. It's pretty cool. Alright, so now here we'd want to rotate to the final facing from... Okay, so right now we assume that we rotate from whatever we're looking at right now, which I guess would still work. Yeah. And I can get rid of this comment. So yeah, if jump facing is not equal... Oh, that's not a good idea. Well, we could do it like this, but we're gonna... What is this? Angle. We'll be doing a float test, which actually Lua uses doubles for floating points, but still I don't think that's the greatest idea. It's never good in computer or in programming to test equality between two floating point numbers. So how should I do this? Nice if we had like a helper function that we could test if start and target are collinear on the hex map. Where do we put that? Close some of these. So I have this board position class, but I really should make like probably a board utils or something. Or position utilities. I don't have anything like that, and I don't really know what it would go into. Where is it that I define? How do I like create board positions? There's a function I know that can generate board position. So I'm trying to figure out where I create that, and maybe that is inside some object. let's just find out where I called set global. That would show up there. Okay, so it's in this Lua environment class. Yeah, this is a bit hacky. I think, yeah, the best way to do is just make another position utilities class. And then from there we can create a new board position. Alright, so we're going to make another Lua enable class here, so I gotta tag this as a Moonsharp user data, so that Moonsharp will allow this class to be inserted into Lua scripts. And like always, we want to hide the default constructor because we don't want Lua to be able to create new instances of this class. Okay, and so the first one will have some class or some function to return a board position. And facing utilities. Okay, I just call it create, so I guess I'll do the same thing here. And we can just copy this. And the Lua column, the row, the layer. Okay, and I guess we will need a reference to the Lua object registry. And in that case, I'll need to have another constructor. Always for these Lua classes, you need to have, I say this like every time, but for this generic or argumentless constructor, we need to still leave that there in order to tag it. Although I usually throw new not supported exception. Alright, and I guess I'll take this function out. Then I'll need to set. Okay, I also don't have facing utilities in here yet, so I'll add that. Doesn't exist yet, so I guess I'll go ahead and create it. I know yesterday, I could keep going back and forth on this, I think. Yesterday I was saying that I don't like how this class is so big, but now I'm thinking that it's okay because all it does is store references to different objects. It doesn't actually have much logic to itself besides caching the objects. Oh, that's not what I want to do. And I don't really know if there's a cleaner way to separate all this data out besides maybe take all this caching stuff into a separate object, which maybe that's the way to go. Because right now this isn't really much different than the game data class I use, and for some reason it doesn't seem to bother me. Although maybe it's because it doesn't have so many things down here, I don't know. Maybe I'd feel better if I made everything public in the Lua object registry, but it's essentially the same. Okay, so that's good. Now I have that inserted. Okay, so there's probably some scripts that use that board position. I don't know where. Actually, probably in the map generator. So we have position, utils. This should be gate. I just thought of something. Like, I wonder. I didn't do comments as well. I don't know if this position utilities is set up right away. Where is this interface manager? Okay, so it's in the play scene, but the map generation runs during the map generation scene. So I think that's just slightly. What am I looking for? Down here. Okay, so I think it's the map creator that calls the Lua script. Yeah, and so I just set that. So I guess I'll do the same thing. Base. Object registry. Facing utilities. And this will be overwritten later. It's fine with me, it doesn't really make much difference. Or I might as well just delete it or remove it myself. Okay, yeah, the board generator kind of separate from all the rest of the Lua engine because I created it first and it's not run during the play scene, so at some point I might want to try and fix that. But anyway, I think that's the only place that I actually create a position, besides just using a position that's part of a monster. Yeah, this is what I was looking for. So what I wanted to do here was I was trying to do, oh yeah, I wanted to see if two positions were on the same axis or they were on a straight line between each other. Public and are collinear. Okay, this is a board position. And this is pretty simple. First, I guess I'll turn this into hex positions. Because I don't think the board position has the sum. And so basically they'll be collinear if their columns are the same, their rows are the same, or their sums are the same. And the sum, of course, is equal to negative row plus column. And that's just the third axis on our hex grid. And I'm pretty sure I'm using that correctly today. If column equals column or wait, yeah, the names here don't make sense, do they? This should be hex B. Row equals hex B row, or hex A sum equals hex B sum. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this will work. So really, instead of using this, which means start and target are not collinear. That is false. Then we need to do this last rotate to rotate from the jump facing to the final facing. I think that's right. So first of all, we rotate to the jump facing, which is pointing directly towards our target from the start. And if they're not collinear, that's not the same as the final facing. Whereas the final facing is just the closest facing direction on the hexagon compass. So either east, west, northeast, northwest, so on. So we rotate to the jump direction, then we actually do the actions to change the game state. I guess it doesn't really matter when we do this, but do it right there. And then pick, yeah, and so if the distance is 1 and the layers are the same, then we'll do a walk animation. And the distance is greater than 1 or the layers are different, then we'll do a jump. Then we just turn both those animations off, and then we do this final rotation from the jump facing to the final rotation. And notice that if collinear is false, then they obviously aren't neighbors. So let's do this actually. Okay, so now I need to do this is neighbor. I guess do I want to do the is neighbor like this, or do I want to use position utils? I think when we're going to compare something about two separate positions and it doesn't really matter which one is first, then I'll use position utilities. Okay, so copy this so I don't have to type out all the arguments again. Okay, and for this I'll actually just use distance function, so distance, an integer, and I'll just turn x position, distance, and then here I'll return distance, AB is 1. Alright, so I think we're done with that. So I think the only other functions I need to add in here are the animation functions, so I guess let's make sure. Run the game and just see how far it will get in that script. Hopefully it will get past all of the facing calculation and give us an error when it gets to the animations, because we haven't created that object yet. But no, something sooner. Probably during map generation. Bad facing 1 at 13. I don't even know why I would care about facing at this point. Vision utils create. Maybe I named it wrong. Oh yeah, I passed the facing utils by accident. Yeah, that's awkward. Okay, so now the game completely loads. I've got to give a command to both objects. Okay, so yeah, we do get an error, which we expected, and yeah, it's cannot access field towards angle of user data, facing utilities. Okay, that's not what I thought at line 38. Down here. The facing utilities toward, okay, I think that should be towards angle. Let me make sure. Yeah, towards angle. Try that one more time. I need to fix the camera. I think we're ready to start doing a better camera script. Maybe I'll tackle that after we finish with these animations. Okay, attempt index no value at line 42, and I bet that is the animations. Okay, yeah, so that it got through all that, thankfully. I'm gonna write, doesn't matter what order, so better camera controls. Alright, so I guess we're ready to start on the animation system, which is going to be quite an ordeal, I think. It's just going to be pretty complicated because it's going to have like two modes. One mode is during the selection action phase, which is when these animations won't actually happen right away, so we need to store all these calls and somehow sequence them in between these actions. But we can't keep them in the same list because we send the actions to the server and the server doesn't care about the animation system at all. But they still have to be in sequence because the game needs to know when to play the animations in relation to when these actions happen. Which I guess in that case this should go, these should go at the very end, because when we set the position and facing, the game will snap the monsters to that position and facing. Yes, so that's looks good. I guess for better testing, let's snap to position here, and then we'll snap to the facing afterwards, so that way we might have some animations in between the two actions. But anyway, so the second time that these animations might be called is during a non-action phase, which would be like during the start of a turn. I don't even, somewhere I do have that. I think the framework functions. Yeah, so I have this on new turn, and theoretically you could have some animation that plays at the beginning of a turn. And in that case, the animations could just play right away because they're not waiting for actions to take place. So I need to keep that in mind. Not to mention those two different modes. Again, have these different pauses, because in action mode we'd pause on this actions freeze or insert some kind of wait command, but in non-actions mode we could actually use the coroutine yield that we use for the other scripts to actually insert a break in the Lua script, and then we would resume the script later when the animation's done. But so I usually like, when I'm working with Lua scripts, I like to kind of start at the script and work backwards. So let's do the Lua interface objects now, which would be this animations. Okay, so this will be another Lua exposed class. So again, we've got to go through the motions with Moonsharp. Pack it as a Lua class and hide the constructors. Okay, and this will most definitely need to have a reference to the Lua object registry, but I guess I'll wait until we actually know. So we got a set boolean, then actions freeze, and then we got to do the movement. So somehow we need to know what mode we're in. Which I guess I could just have a flag or something, but also, what does this pass? It would pass, yeah, a return value from here that we would actually send into the coroutine system, while we could, I mean. So how do I do that? I think it's an asynchronous request. So if I look in pathfinding, yeah, so this doesn't actually have any of the logic, it just links these functions back to something else. So happens to be here. And the handle search all. And then it returns a Lua request, which, where does it get that? Setup. Okay, so this is pretty simple. The request just has doesn't really have anything special in it. I guess we could store whatever we wanted. And it's really just a hook for Lua to have like a handle on this asynchronous request so it can So the game would know what it's talking about when it asks for this to be returned. Okay, so yeah, we're adding this request to the handling script request list, but we wouldn't actually do this if we're in actions mode. Okay, so it looks like almost all of the logic will probably actually be in some other class, and then the animations will just have hooks to it, kind of like I did with the pathfinding system. We're done with these, let's clean up. Okay, so I'm thinking, do I want to have this class in the play namespace? I'm trying to think if there's any other time that we'd want to animate the monsters through Lua scripts. And the only time would be maybe during team building, but if that's the case, it's a little too soon to try and think about that because we pretty much have no scripts written for it. So for now, I'll just put it in the Lua colors. The way I need to sometime I need to find a way to reorganize all the namespaces in this, because yeah, some of these are getting kind of huge. This is just a big project though, so it might not be avoidable. Alright, so animation manager, I'll call it. Alright, and so I guess this probably wouldn't actually handle animating the actual objects, it just handles like getting the information from Lua. So we need another class. So maybe I should start at both ends, like the script and then the class that actually carries out these animations, and then just work both ways, try to link them together. I'm trying to think of the best way to construct these scripts without taking too long on stream, of course. Okay, let's make, I'll just make another folder for animations. I don't really know how many objects will be in here, but it's fine, it doesn't matter if it's a small folder. That did not work as I wanted to. It like deleted the animations folder. Okay. Sometimes moving scripts around in Visual Studio is a little strange, so I'll try and fix it here in Unity. Or maybe the best thing to do would actually be to fix it in Windows Explorer. Okay, so the animation manager is there, and I have one in here. No. So it did get moved correctly, but for some reason Visual Studio didn't like it. reload. Probably one of these weeks I should just take a, well, like I said, just take a whole week and try and clean up the code in this project because it's gotten quite large. But I think it's still pretty well organized. It's just the namespaces for one thing, and we have way too many debug messages. Okay. Yes. So this is fine, and this is actually going to be in animations now. And so I guess this manager, I'm not sure exactly what the use for this will be, but I want to just have separate classes that take care of doing one aspect of animating, like setting state machine flags, and then one for moving, one for rotating. So I guess the animation parameter setter. And if we look at, not up here right now. Oh, filing. So yeah, if we look at egg dino in the animator, we want to be able to set these through a script, and that's what this object is going to take care of. And the nice thing about working at this point is that it doesn't care about what mode the animation system is in. Some other class above it will take care of that. So I guess could use messages, but this animation param setter, that'd be a whole lot of different messages because there's a lot of different parameters you could want to set. I guess we could make structure in parameter command. Oh, I forgot to put struct. And then we'll send a message out into the game, and then the parameter setter will receive this command from the message, and then it will actually execute something. So first, param type. Oh, I can't just name it that. There's boolean, trigger, float, and integer. And then we'd have the name and I guess a value. So there'd be the bool value, float, and int value. Okay, and I guess this is a little bit space inefficient because technically you only need either one of these values or none for a trigger. But it's not like these commands will be sent very often. It's just once every time this function is called. So I'm not too worried about it. Take it over here. So we'd have a private void handle command. I guess we'd also need to have the specific object. How do I want to reference that? Well, right now we're going to only animate monsters. At some point there might be something besides a monster. But I guess when that point comes we can add support for that. So I guess, yeah, monster. We could also just pass the animator. But at that point we're not really abstracting it very much, and the parameter setter not that useful. Because if any code is gonna have to get the animator for this monster, it could just do a switch and set these itself. So yeah, I think if we want this class to be useful at all, that. So I guess the next question is, how do I want to be able to get the animation controller from a monster ID? You know what, this should actually be in the UX, shouldn't it? The UX namespace or user experience, because this won't really deal with any game logic. Okay, so yeah, let's do that. I'll make a new folder. Animation. Okay, so we're gonna move this file again, I suppose. I won't do it in C# this time. Yeah, the game is starting to take a while to compile. I know Unity implemented a new compile pipeline that you can, or scriptable configuration, or I forget exactly how they call it, but it might be a good idea to look into that so I can try to decrease the compile time a little bit. Oh yeah, one thing I'd like to do is a lot of times you have to click on these scenes, so I like to rename the scene folder to start with an underscore so the scenes are always on the top. It is something small that I've started doing lately. Okay, so that we want, I should just open this in Explorer. Okay, so we have this, and I'll cut it, and we'll move it down to X, map, actions. Okay, so they'll complain that it doesn't exist anymore, but it's fine. Does this update automatically? No, it doesn't look like it. Okay. I need to think a little bit harder before I create classes so that I don't have to keep reopening Visual Studio. So we don't need the animation manager right now. This will stay in the game logic because I think this will be like the last interface object between the game and the UX. So yeah, this will basically just figure out animations and then send commands out into the world to be picked up by the UX objects. Let's change this to X map animations. I guess these objects actually won't be part of UX though, because yeah, they'd actually, because I want to try and avoid having the game logic ever reference a UX class directly. And I should probably move them into their own file, because the animation manager is going to handle a bunch of these different command objects. So animation, parameter, command. Y. Go cubes. My place over here. Right, now I'll just delete it here. Okay, so now it's starting to look a little bit more organized. Alright, let's see. Okay, so again, I'm gonna close all but this. Then I'll open this up just so I can refer back to it. So the first thing we need to do is extract or get the animation controller from this monster ID. I guess that depends how we want to store it. So monsters right now. Where is it? The prefab per monster loader. Kind of weird name. I didn't. Yeah, this monster position and rotation will probably be changed. Whole class. Maybe it's time we rewrite it. And I don't like this. I don't really know how to handle this realize map command because it's also a little hacky. But it's mostly just because we don't have any actual team building phase. Which, yeah, so I think we just leave it now. Or leave it for now. Change position. Yeah, then we won't worry about that either. I guess I'll leave it. Okay, but what I really need to find was... Oh yeah, so we have this monster collider class, and that gets the monster index. Maybe we actually need to have... Instead of just the collider, we'd have like, I don't know, a monster model class that would store references to its animation controller and everything. Unity. I guess it'd be a top level object right here. And then it would need to get the animator, which right now is stored on the model prefab. Let's move back over here. Okay, so I guess I should call it like, I don't know, like some kind of, how do I want it? Like a tag on the monster that the game can use, store information about it, but just for the UX. Well, actually, the UX just needs some version of the game database for monster models, probably. Maybe I should just make it... I guess I could just call it monster models. And let's make it opponent. So that way I could just put it I guess this is nice. Yeah, we would want to have a dispose. This is actually a bit more than I need. But we will want to dispose. Okay, I will need to return something to let it know we're ready for cleanup. Which I guess would be if we've been disposed by something. Those. And yeah, so it's not going to be disposed yet. We won't deal with that, but at some point whenever we try to make the code to unload the play scene, then we would need to call this monster models.dispose. Okay, so click class monster model data, and this will just have the monster collider and the animator. And we'll just have a list of monster model data. And in order to be a component, to have a public parameterless constructor. So whatever class creates the monsters will also need to populate this list. I guess whatever creates the monsters will be our replacement for this prefab per monster loader. Let's just have the monster model creator. And I think I'll just copy most of the code from here for now, but we won't use it all. So yeah, we still need the Unity engine, but instead of having a list right there, we'll actually have monster models class. Yeah, we will need that. Oh yeah, and so this should be a tactical lizard tamer on a behavior so we can get access to the components. And what messages do we want to subscribe to? I guess we'll need to do this realize map until I figure out a better way to do it. But yeah, we don't care about monsters moving. So we'll set up all this. I guess we will need whatever class handles the position animations will also just let us snap the monster's position. So we'll probably want to have a command to do that. So for now, let's just set this vector 0 and Quaternion identity. Okay, that looks good. And I won't delete these, I'll just comment them out because at some point we'll need this code. So do I need to keep a reference to the actual game object? Well, we will need the transform. Yeah, that's another thing here. Public transform. Okay, so right now I have this list as private. Is there really any reason to keep it private? I think I'll just make it public because it just has, this is just a data container class. Doesn't have really any logic besides dispose. Guess I'll set monsters null. Okay, so monsters add new. Okay, the transform is easy. It's just the game object transform. I guess the animator would be game object get component and children, and I think this will get the first animator it finds. If a monster had 2 animators on it, then the game might get confused, but I don't really know why they'd want a mod author would want more than one animator. So we'll grab the collider. Alright, and if I do that, I can't use that fancy one-line setup. So then collider, just in case we need it. I don't know if we ever really will. I think that's all good, and this class will go unused, so obsolete. And so I should this monster models class, I guess I can rename it to just monster models. Yeah, I don't want to delete that because it's obsolete now. Alright. Get rid of that so I don't accidentally delete or edit it. I think we're all set up. So now, if anything wants to get information about the models, they will have it through this monster models class. So, definitely here we'll need to have a reference to that. Parameter setter, controller. That way we can have access to the component list. Equals controller get component. I think that's good. And what else? What am I looking for? I guess the place, or no, it would be the map controller because it would create this class. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, this is the only time that these UX objects will be referenced. Setter. Okay, so now I think we're ready to actually deal with these commands that we're given. Okay, so the animator is now as simple to get as calling models, monsters, and monster ID dot animator. Alright, and I need to get the Unity engine namespace. Okay, and now we just switch between the command types, I think. Not get type. Parameter type. And for a Boolean, we would just set animator set bool command name and then command bool value. We can go ahead and set the other ones because it's not that difficult. Set trigger. And set float. And lastly but not least, we have integer. And not to really use the integers much, but I guess I can't think of ways that you might want to. Okay, I think that's good. And get a drink of water real quick. Alright. So I think that's about it. This class, I don't think it will be any larger. So, what do I want to do next? Did I do mover and the rotator? I don't know. Back here in the animation manager, I guess we could do this because it's actually going to get a command at some point. I actually think I want to rename this because this class I don't think will deal with Lua. But I guess this class would send out all this. This will basically be the hub that receives messages from classes that directly are called from Lua. And then also sends messages out to the classes that should actually perform the animations. It might get kind of large, so we might need to break it up at some point, but click there. Controller. The one thing we know it will have, oh, one thing I did forget to do, here, here, we should subscribe to some message. So controller, subscribe to message. I guess it doesn't show up because I haven't used the right game logic. And this will be, I'll just put it in the map. Because I have a feeling that we might want to play animations during the team phase, so. Yeah, because the team building phase and the play phase are going to have quite a bit of code in common, I think. Because when I reorganize it, I don't know. Need to probably do the team building sooner rather than later, just because getting a bit of a pain to try and guess what I'll need in it. Okay, so this will just be animation command, or let's put this way, animation set parameter command. And then we just pass handle command, and I guess the archetype would be default because it will have only one. Oh no, it'd be the other way because there's one receiver and many commanders. That's what that archetype means. And command, handle command. Still doesn't like it. Oh right, I forgot the type here. Put animate. Parameter command. Now it's happy. Okay, so now we subscribe to this message, so whenever somebody sends it, which would happen in the animation manager, we'll actually deal with the command data. So in that case here, we need to have a message claim parameter command, and this will be command set parameter. So claim message. Okay, that was not right. Tag map. There we go. And again, the command archetype. That seems good. So I guess the point, or what sends us the command to send this command out is the question. Right, maybe I'll have like a child of this that would be like animation manager. Yeah, maybe one class for each of these Lua functions. That might be a good idea. So we'd have one for set Boolean or whatever. And then it would handle like all the different values from Lua and then pass it to us in a nice C# manner. And then we would send the command out. Yeah, I think that will work. The other option is to have the actual class that deals with that command also send that, or that deals with that function also send the command out. and then the animation manager would just handle like, oh, I'm forgetting that I have to store these animations as well. So I guess the animation manager, yeah, in that case, definitely that animation should be sent here, and then maybe the animation manager wouldn't even send the message right away. If that's the case, then the manager probably shouldn't handle sending these commands out. There should be some other class, and the manager just bundles all the data together. Yeah, so I guess I don't have to start everything with animation because it's in the animation namespace. Did it again. Passed it, I think. So this class doesn't need to be public, I don't think, because nothing will access it. Again, the animation manager will send it, well, so I don't know exactly how I'll do it, but commander will be what actually signals the other classes to do what they're told, or to actually play the animations. And the animation manager will receive, okay, so let's see. From some other class, it would receive public set animator boolean. And all we need here is a name. Oh, I guess we'll need the monster ID. I guess, actually, the reason I paused is because I'm thinking monster ID is going to take a lot of trouble to later on if I want to support another type of model besides just monsters. So I need to probably have some type of model ID. I guess the question is, I don't know how that will be stored, but let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so this will be the and value. So need an animation logger, which would log animations if they're not going to play right away. But if they are going to play right away, then we just send it directly to the commander. So the manager is basically just going to see what mode we're in and then send this command to one of the other two. I think that's probably the cleanest way to do it. That way the logger and the commander don't have to care about the objects that receive these commands from Lua, and the Lua readers don't have to care about the commander or the logger. Probably the smartest way to do it. It will have like a bunch of like these intermediate functions, but I'm trying to think of the best way to organize this. So yeah, this Boolean parameter is nice because it's pretty simple. logger. And probably can't store the animation like list in here because that might need to be put or set into the roller. But yeah, I haven't even really thought about how I'm going to handle that yet. But luckily it's separate from what I'm working on right now, so... Okay, so this animation manager is going to need some way to know if it's in the logging phase or the immediate play phase. You know what, we should, let's actually do a test. So in the framework function, on new turn, let's just play, because right now it'll be an immediate phase, so let's do something like this. Battle state for monster and battle state. All monsters do end, and then we'll just set this rotate boolean to true, and so we'll try to test immediate mode first because that's kind of simpler. First of all, I don't even know if I have this all monsters thing yet. Yeah, this should be a void. That's why I was thinking it was a constructor. The Lua interface, battle state. Oh, I have get monsters. I guess that's fine. Doesn't really matter if it's get monsters or all monsters. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that was a bit of a detour just to think about how I'm going to actually test this. Okay, so I guess I should... Let's do one of the interface classes that will read or actually take this function from Lua. Set Boolean parameter. Oh, I must have accidentally deleted the dot. That's fine. Okay, now we have that, and the animation manager just create these objects. Set asset controller and also me. And I'll have to have a reference to the logger and the commander at the very least. And also, somehow, we're gonna have to deal with coroutines and all that. Yeah, these don't have the correct structures yet. Actually, the commander and the logger might not even need a reference to me, but or the animation manager, but I'll do it just in case. Shorten those names. That's fine. Yeah, so here we'll have this function which will actually be what handles here. Yeah, it'll be what handles this set boolean. Pretty simple. Set. And it will return a Lua async request. No, we have that. Oh yeah, it's just called an async request. Okay, so what are the... That's the monster, so that's a dynamic value, and then the string for the name and true or false. Boolean value. Return false. Or let's return null for now, actually. So this asynchronous request, maybe we should have the animation manager help us out with that because pretty much all these Lua script handlers are going to need to use it. So let me see. Got a bunch of classes in here now. Look in the pathfinding system. That's what actually does pathfinding, but it's setup common. We actually get the asynchronous request. Oh, I see. So yeah, this is a type and then the index. That's to help us remember. So I guess what I would do... Oh, I see. So the index is a monster and the stat index is that. So what we want to do here is probably just keep a count of all animation commands, and then we just see which one is ready or not based on that. So yeah, animation. Oh, except, yeah, these Lua set booleans, they won't have an asynchronous request because they're instant, always. No reason to do this. Yeah, this will void. We only need the asynchronous request for move commands and... Well, I guess we might want to know like when a certain animation ends. But yeah, I don't know actually how... Yeah, with Lewis, our Unity system, you don't actually know what animation's playing. So yeah, so we might have to figure that out if we ever want to use it, which I'm sure we will. Okay, so I'll just do this because it's simpler right now. We don't have to worry about asynchronous requests, which is a good thing. Alright, so now we need to get the model/monster ID. It's a monster. I guess I need to figure out how I'm going to store model IDs. They go. I guess it should go in the game data somewhere. Or maybe these IDs would just be something that's used only in the animation system. Well, there's a constant number of monsters. So, yeah, that makes it a bit simpler. For now, anyway. Monster, yeah, so the model ID for monster will just be its ID. And then if we add other types of models like board decorations or whatever, then we need to keep a count, but it's not like that will be that difficult to do. I think that's how we'll go. Yeah, so I should change this to model ID. For now, yeah, we'll just keep it like that. Okay, so we're gonna assume that the target is a monster. If target type not equal user data and target dot is it okay, I wish it would just turn true or false, but I can't really use it as I want. I think I could say something like user data object is monster, but that's kind of verbose. That. Okay, so if it equals user data, then monster equals target dot object monster. I guess I should rename this to like the Lua monster because it's the Lua monster object. And if Lua monster is null, then we'll need to throw an error. Script runtime exception. Target value of animation dot set boolean must be a monster. The other thing we need to check is the parameter name cannot be nil, so if string dot is null or empty, then we would throw new script. Runtime exception, param name of animation set boolean must not be and D string. The way I'm wording these is a little weird, but I think it will do. And then value doesn't need any validation, so I think if we get past this, then we're fine. So I guess I would just say our call manager set animation. So the model ID is just the monster ID for now. But what about if the monster, like the animator, does not actually have that tag or this parameter name? Unity would throw an error, but right now that's like way down the line. It'd be nice if we could check it right now. But I don't know an easy way that would actually give good results. Because I guess the state machine could actually throw a lot of errors. So I guess if you do something like that, then unfortunately the game won't catch it right here. It would catch it later when the animation actually plays, which is fine. About that. In UX objects, here's what I was looking for. Would they be able to throw an error? I guess so. I want to handle this. Yeah, let's test it out. And I guess I'll figure this out as we get a little farther, because it's not like super important. Does not exist. We'll see what happens when I try that. But I guess for now, let's just not worry about errors. Because I don't know if there's, like, this doesn't actually throw an error. If it doesn't exist, it just gives you a warning in the Unity debug log. But I guess, I don't know if we want it to throw an error or not. Because it is just in the animation system, so it doesn't actually, like, affect the game, but... or the gameplay, I should say. Anyway, I guess we're done there. Okay, so now we need to figure out how the animation manager knows what mode the game is in. Easiest way would just be to have a variable that tells the animation system what mode it's in. I think the animation system would know regardless, because it has other information about what Lua script is being called. That might be good enough. About that. Yeah, so we'd have this handling script value. Might, yeah, we do something like this because I think where is this claimed? Here. Okay, and I think it sets this whenever that asynchronous script is called. And I think that, yeah, the get actions are asynchronous because they can do a pathfinding. So yeah, we definitely want to have something here that's like forbid animations. Okay, so yeah, that's how we can tell, or the animation system will know when the animation script can be called. But I guess it doesn't actually tell it which mode it's in. That would be based on the game phase. Maybe we can just go with that. Anyway, here. Want to use this. I guess this should actually be in the animation manager because it's something that's going to be common to all these Lua parameters. So public, or yeah, I guess it should be public. Or actually, no, it'd be internal. Because only things in this animation's namespace should be able to access it. Is valid time to call. Oops, I think I accidentally copied empty. An empty line. That's fine, and then grab this so I don't have to type all that again. Yeah, so yeah, this isn't actually in the animation manager anymore. So yeah, the Lua asynchronous request handler, which handles all these asynchronous script calls, will actually set the script that's currently running into this variable, so then the animation manager will know information about it. Yeah, so I guess we can throw I don't really want this to have knowledge of the Lua of Moon Sharp, so this would return a handling script not null and handling script dot options and forbid animations is 0. And so if you haven't seen this before, this is called a bitwise operator, and basically it just, if you think of this options as a number or a binary number, then each position in the number can represent a specific flag that we can turn on and off. So, and the AND operator tests if both of the numbers in that position are true or 1. And if that's true, then it will actually return another number with 1 in that position. So if options and forbid animations is 0, then that means that these numbers have nothing in common, which would mean that this forbid animations is set to off. And if it's set to off, then that means that animations are not forbidden, which means that it's a valid time to call the script. Up here, we'll just do one other validation. So if manager is valid time to call, it's false, then we'll throw new script, runtime exception, cannot call animation at are in this script. Okay, and so last thing we wanted to know is if we were in a logging or an immediate stage. So I think we can just use a boolean for that. In logging state. And in order to know that, we'll need to subscribe to the turn phase. Yeah, the turn phase. Global. No, it's play. Turn phase. Oh, and then I need to pass the actual function. So on turn phase change. Okay, so this will be simple. So n logging state equals value equal to turn phase. Okay, so actually, yeah, there's two options here. We'll have logging phase either in the ordering or the after turn effects ordering phase. So I guess I should use a switch statement. And these two phases are when the these scripts are run, not those scripts. These scripts where we turn the selections into actions. And these are the only valid scripts where animations would be called that we'd want to store them until later. Default, false, break, and probably also if we get into the selections or after turn effect generation phase, then we'd want to clear the logging state, or clear the logger list, but not super important to do that right now. So now we can finally do this. If in logging state, then we'll call logger. So what do I want to send to this? Do I want to just pass along these values, or do I want to actually create the ability command? Where is it? Yeah, the animation parameter command. I guess that depends on how I'm actually going to store these animations, which I haven't decided yet. Hi Super Saiyan, is there a server or is everything peer-to-peer? Right now it's going to be peer-to-peer, but technically there's support for a separate server. I'm just not planning to upkeep one. Alright, so yeah, I don't know how that's going to work yet, so I'll just leave this unimplemented for now. Not implemented exception. Okay, so I do know how I want to do this. We'll just call the commander that animator, and actually I'll just pretty much pass these values through to it. Model ID, parameter value. Okay, I guess that can be internal, but it doesn't really make any difference because the class is internal. But alright, and so here we need to finally create the animation parameter command. And we can just pass the model ID through. The type is Boolean and the value, or the bool value. And then I'll just hit command set parameter, and there we go. I can actually clean this up even more. Yeah, not needed. Okay, so now I think I have a complete code path, almost. So I just need to set this into a Lua object. I'd have here. So I could just have references to the functions. I guess is the right way to go. Okay, so there's no return type, so this should actually be an action. And the dynamic value string and Boolean. Set. Is that what I call it? I'm gonna try and keep the name. Yeah, set Boolean. But I gotta hide this from Moonsharp. And need to create this new function here. I don't really know if I need to do this, but a little safer. Okay, and see. I think the object registry needs to keep a reference to this animations. And we'll just go ahead and create it. And since this animations object is going to be pretty bare bones, all it does is link functions between Lua and some other class. I don't think it needs any more a reference to any objects in its actual code. So here, oh wait, no, not there. Oh, I had it selected already. So I just need to get a reference to the Lua object registry. I can't remember exactly how to do. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, it's in the game database. That makes it easy. Game. Thought it would bring up a reference to it, but I guess not. Okay, that's gonna actually complicate things. Does that work? Yes. So Lua object registry animations, set boolean equals Lua, set boolean. Okay. Now I hook up this function into Lua, so we're all good there. Last thing I need to do is go to the play subcontroller and actually create the animation manager. And I think I'll finally have all the pieces of the puzzle. And actually test it. There'll be plenty of warnings, but I'll just take a look at them and see if there's anything that's indicative of a bug. Color assigned but not used. Oh yeah, I don't need to keep a reference to it. Probably the same for the logger as well. Logger. Okay, yeah, the manager is assigned but not used. That's because we don't do anything with the logger yet. Okay, let's recompile just for that. Alright. So I have this new script that should run at the beginning of the turn. And it will try to set the rotate boolean, which that doesn't exist. Which ones? Oh no, I think it does exist, but okay, it has the jump animation, so we'll see if that actually turns on. I'll just close that or inactivate it. Got an error. Look. Framework functions attempt to index a nil value. Oh right, I did. Okay, so I still don't have one piece of the puzzle. Let's see. Here, this Lua class. I need to. Oh no, this isn't it. I closed it, unfortunately. Interface manager, this is what I wanted. I just need to set the Lua global for the animations. Which basically just sets the name that Lua can reference this object by. Let's see if we can get this play and then probably wrap up the stream. Oh no, got an error again. Target value of animation set boolean must be a monster. Okay, well at least we know it got to the function. Got to here. So either the target type was not a user data or two-object monster didn't work. What am I setting? Oh, that's nil. Yeah, I should pass monster. Object reference not set to an instance. The commander. Oh, that's because I don't actually keep a reference to it. Try it one more time. Okay, so we didn't crash. Oh, where's the other monster? Oh yeah, they're not positioned because... Okay, yeah, I do need to fix that, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. See, we can see they're on top of each other. Let's actually look at their animators. Uh, Thought that when I clicked here, it would have shown up, not show controller from asset bundle. Really? That's gonna make things hard to test. Oh, I guess because the controller might actually not be part of the game here. Well, it's not playing it anyway. Because I think if I turn this back on, this one I can actually manipulate, and if I set rotate to true, it should... Oh, okay, well maybe it's just messed up then. Let's see. Oh yeah. Jump, jump. Okay, that's unfortunate. Okay, so now I'm gonna have to rebuild the asset bundles. That's okay, I guess. I guess while that's going on, there's not really much I need to write there. Really just need to go through and make this script completely, or run completely, so I don't feel like I need to like remind myself about certain to-do items, but it's still working, I guess, because it's not opening up. Takes a while to build the bundles. Okay, so now it's almost done. Thought it was. Now is it doing it again? Okay, yeah. This happened last time, but it still works fine. I don't know. Ever since the update, asset bundles have been a little buggy. But they still load okay, so... Okay, so again, we just copy this out from here and put it into mods. That this allows the mods to load actual assets from Unity. I'll close that. Okay, well it still isn't working. So if I turn rotate on, it still goes back and forth? What? Oh. I just messed that up, didn't I? Jump false goes back. I really want to see if this works. I'll just wait here, so maybe it'll go a little faster. I won't have to build everything twice. Seems not like it if you lose focus of the window when it's trying to do asset bundles, but it still gives me that error. And why? Again, I'm just going to move those files down. I guess before I rebuilt it, I should have made sure that it worked now, but okay, so yeah, the animation still doesn't work. Hopefully it's not because of the animator anymore. Yeah, so now it stays in rotate, and so it should look like this, where the feet are just kind of floating in space because I didn't finish that animation. But no, he's still doing his idle animation, so obviously something's not right. But I can't, fortunately I can't test it that well. Now it's letting me look. What? Now it says it's in rotate. It must not be actually showing the information for this model. Yeah, it's not, even though I have it selected. Although, yeah, it cannot show from that asset bundle. Okay, well that's a shame. I don't really... we'll need to have some more sophisticated debug tools, but unfortunately I've already gone 10 minutes over, so we'll have to figure that out tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, I might be a little busy tomorrow night, so I might try to stream early, or we might be late. I'm not sure yet, but I'll let you know on Twitter. Of course, you can follow me here on Twitch to also be notified. And if you missed any streams and you'd like to catch up, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. Or come chat with me on Discord, we'd love to have you. You can get links to any of those places by typing !Discord, YouTube, or Twitter in chat, or just checking out my channel or video description. And yeah, thanks everybody for coming by. I feel like we got quite a bit done. Yeah, I know how I'm going to implement all of the stuff about animations. I told you they were going to be complicated. But it should be fun. At least we can, the way I've done it, everything is kind of broken into small pieces, so hopefully it won't be too overwhelming. But that's it for me for tonight. Thanks everybody again for coming out, and I hope you have a great day. Alright, bye-bye.